Hey, yay.
Music never gets old.
No. Hey, happy Father's Day, man.
Yeah, same to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Another one in the books.
Yeah. So I was telling you about, like, it's funny, like, for Mother's Day, we go out. Father's Day, like, fathers end up on the grill. And it was
We got to do all the work.
Yeah, it's like, I'm still working. And I had kids at the fishing ponds, and like, I'm grilling, and I got to go over there. They're like, oh, they really want to fish with you. I'm like, okay. I get out there, I'm like, man, guys want to go eat.
Hot.
Like, it's like, hey, we'll come back. Oh, man. So, yeah, it was good. No, I think Matthew caught one, but for the most part, it was just too hot. They're like,
Right.
the fish aren't biting. It's too hot.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Even the fish are like, yeah, I'm not going to eat
No,
that.
it's like that. No, too much. But yeah, and then I had seen the Spider-Verse
Yeah.
movie, which then you saw that was your treat, right? You were watching it on Father's Day.
Well, we ended up moving it. We ended up going on a boat on Father's Day, but yeah, I went and saw it yesterday.
Okay, so cool. So I wanted to kind of save it for we haven't talked since. So I didn't give you my analysis of it. So going into it, I got the tickets. Oh, I went on like the cheap day. I know, like last time I was like, I don't go on the special on the bowling. This was the special. So I was like, okay, I was taking like a bunch of people. It was like kids and some friends and whatever. So I'm like, all right, like when can we go? So we went to like a Tuesday. Mm-hmm. And it's summer, and it's like, so it was like a pretty packed theater, but we were on the floor, but like the last row of the floor, so it wasn't like quite up like that, but it was okay. No drama with the food this time. It was like everybody just sitting in a row, like just 10 in a row, so but so we get there, there's previews and whatever, we get the food and everything's coming, and the movie starts, and it's got and I'm thinking, man, this is a long ass intro. And it just keeps going and going. And all of a sudden, like, Spider-Man. Like, oh, here we go, and then it just kept going. And I'm like, and I look over, I'm like, hey, is this a cartoon?
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, I thought this whole thing was the intro. Like, is it like a movie?
Yeah.
Like, it's animation. I'm like, yeah, like a cartoon.
Yeah.
They go, yeah, I did not know. Like, I hadn't done enough homework. I thought it's like a movie.
This
right?
is the second one they've done.
Yeah,
like
I hadn't seen the other one.
Oh, okay.
So I would say if you are well into Spider-Man and you know everything, like as I am, let's say about Back to the Future or whatever, then I think you're in for a real treat. But if you're just going to casually walk into this thing, you're going to be lost like I was. Like I walk out of there at one point, and I won't even talk about the ending. I'll leave that for you. But I'll go, so guys, how many other Spider-Man movies would have been a prerequisite for this so I wouldn't be this lost? Like, I was trying to follow along with the plot of this movie.
I could understand that. Like, I don't think you could walk into this one and really understand what's going on.
No.
Because you hadn't seen the first one in this manner.
No.
So you had no, yeah.
No, I walk in, I don't know who Miles is. Yeah. I'm like, was he always black? Like, then there was the white Peter Parker. I'm like, no, there he is. And then there was like, I don't even know this other storyline. I just didn't know it. And then there's all these different Spider-Mans. Mm-hmm. And I get Spider-Verse. I get it. But it's like, growing up, I knew of the Spider-Man. I didn't know, like, the dinosaur Spider-Man and, like, the winged Spider. Like, there's just too many. I'm like, I don't know. Does everybody know all these people?
Well, it's funny. So when my experience like walking into this was like we sit down and they got in the theater I go to, they play like they have like old Spider-Man. They have like old like Atari video game type of commercials. And both of my daughters are sitting there watching. They go, "This is so cringy." I go, "No, this was Saturday morning for me."
Yes.
This old Spider-Man was like, they're like, wow, that's horrible. I'm like, what?
All two-dimensional.
Yeah. He talking horrible and all that thing.
Hand-drawn.
Yeah. I'm gonna get you, like,
with the bad lines and everything. Yeah.
But it was. So he said he would save the ending for me. So my one daughter, halfway through, she's sitting next to me, Emmy sitting next to me, and she goes, "I'm lost." And she even saw the first one.
Okay.
So she's like, "I have no idea what's going on." Halfway through it, she goes, "I guess I'm just here for the food." And
then you get to the end after 2.5 hours,
which I thought was dragging on. I was like sitting there
I'm
going,
like, they got a lot to wrap up.
They're gonna have to like end this soon.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, and then he's still with the parent. You know, she goes to the parent. I'm like, okay, let's get on the same universe. Okay, let's start.
We understand you're at the wrong one.
Things aren't lining up. You know, okay, wrong one. Yep, wrong portal. You know, different bad guy, new guy. You know, this is the one where Biff Tanner now. It's just.
But at the end, so I gotta. So it gets to the end, and sorry, spoiler alert for anybody that hasn't seen it.
We'll put the spoiler alert at the title. So
it goes to be continued.
Yeah, just
and all you hear is
no
my
plan.
You hear my daughter go, "Come on!"
Yeah. Really? Like, not even like a cliffhanger or anything. Just like, we didn't finish.
It just ends.
She's come back.
This is going too long.
Yeah. We'll just stop right here.
I was just like, you just hear her go, "What?" And that's the one daughter that understood what was going on. She just goes, "Come on."
It kind of reminded me of when you take old school, like, so my grandfather had these like 8mm like movie reels, right? And it had like, and we sometimes we're like, hey, we want to watch this movie. And so he had like some of these like old Disney, not cartoons, they were like movies. It was like a Cinderella, like a live action. It was a silent movie. It was on these reels, and it would take like 4 movie reels to finish this movie. So you're watching it, all of a sudden it go, and we got to change the thing, and then he would like always want to rewind the whole thing, so we had to wait for him to rewind it, so it would go from the empty spool over back to the full, so then he could tape it up, put it back in its case, and then now there's like part 2. Pop that one in because because if you haven't done it, you try to do that, it's all in reverse because it's all gone onto the other one, so you can't just play it from there. It has to reverse out.
Blockbuster rewind.
So it kind of reminded me of that. It's like you're just kind of watching this thing, all of a sudden it's like oh, we're stuck, and then we're changing movies and stuff. I don't know. It just, and it didn't even end. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm coming back to finish this thing, because unless during the off season I go and get caught up and maybe rewatch it, because I'm like, I came into this thing very unprepared, and then I felt just like your daughter. I was very unsatisfied with and at least wrap this up for me. Didn't wrap up anything.
No. I feel like hey, this has been going on for like 2.5 hours.
Time for the next sitting.
Let's just stop.
Why don't you guys take care of the check?
Stop. I'm like, what? And then my one daughter that was sitting next to me, she goes, "I'm lost." And she goes, "I should have just stayed home with Mom."
Yeah.
I was like.
So overall, I would say I would give it a 9 out of 10 as a cinematic experience. I think artistically, as an animation, as a medium of artistic expression, it had a really good styling of really mimicking what a comic book feel was.
And that's what they were going after.
Perfect. Excellent. I don't even know why I'm reserving the 10, but I'm whatever the highest is. If it's a 9.5, we'll give this one a 9.7.
It's basically if you open up a comic book and it came to life, right?
Correct. Also, special shout outs. There were some scenes where, there were different mediums. There was like the Lego one, and there was like a little like a black and white.
Yeah, you got to go watch the first one. You'll understand
so
there
were other shout outs of other mediums as well. So I think overall, I would say is in terms of visual experience, even though I did not know I was walking into a cartoon. I'm like, is this a cartoon? Because if you're gonna go watch like Trek or whatever, the what's that Minion movie? You know what I'm watching a cartoon.
Right.
Or they call animation. Dad. Yeah. Okay, it's animation. But I thought this was going to be like a movie, and it wasn't. So okay, there's the one. Now, plot wise, okay, I can hang with a lot of time travel, and we talked about Fifth Dimension. We're not going to go through that again, but I mean, I can hang with the best of them.
Fifth Dimension. Let's go back to that.
I think
this was like 6.
I think this thing requires, like, if you are coming into this one fresh, gonna be a little bit lost. I would say, in terms of a prerequisite,
watch the first one.
You need prerequisites. So as a standalone movie, it does not work.
No.
So I give that like a 3.5, 4.
Yeah.
And then the ending, listen, there's trilogies, there's 2-part movies.
You could finish it. You could keep this going without.
Yes, you could have a mystery like, oh, what are they gonna do? Oh, they got together.
Let's go back to the old days where like you put forth an ending, but then at the end, like maybe before the credits or even after the credits.
Yeah, maybe as they're leaving, the bad guy comes out of the telephone booth. Yeah, like, I'll get you. Yeah. It's like, okay, like
there's gonna be another one.
He saw them leave. Like, for example, I know that they never really made another Silence of the Lambs, but like how Silence of the Lambs ended, like they kind of left it open. Like, he's out there, like, just so you know, like they kind of left it open that like if we wanted to, plenty of ways to go here.
So I don't know if your preview showed this, but what I'm really excited about, Indiana Jones.
Yes, the Indiana Jones. That's this month. At the end of this month, it's coming back, and that one definitely does look like it's in line with the rest of it. Yeah. I can't believe. I mean, Harrison Ford. I mean,
I know he looks good.
Looks good. It's like him and like Tom Cruise. Like they just keep going.
He looks like his last one of Indiana Jones, pretty much.
So it's staying true to that character and building something and making it consistent where it hasn't really gone full Avatar or whatever, Jar Jar Binks. Like it didn't really, it's kept its thing. So I think that's going to be good. But again, I think we talked about, movies, about my father. I think they had an opportunity to, maybe they knew Spider-Man was going to be out. All that. It was no way to compete with. A father movie could have come out during this time. It could have done better than it did when it did it.
I think so.
It was a miss.
I think they were trying to capitalize on the long weekend.
Yeah, but it was too early for a father movie.
But to me, like, my company supports Juneteenth, so I had Monday off.
Yes.
So it was a long weekend anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was. It is a federal holiday. I think 2 years ago, when it was declared in 2021, a federal holiday. Even last year, only 9% of companies observed it. Right. Not federal government, private companies.
Right.
This year was 40%.
Wow.
So there's been a huge uptake. Now, mind you, services, banks, stock market. So anything like those things are already a given. It's a federal holiday, so they're closed. But even like our company was open, but a lot of our vendors were not. So, and then our whole phone system went down. And at one point I was just like, look, it was Microsoft was down.
Oh.
And not the whole Microsoft thing, but we had Azure issues, and I'm like, this is political karma for being open on a federal holiday. Yeah. We got nothing out of that day. We were down for like 5 hours, 9:30 to like 3. That pretty much killed the whole day. And people were around, they didn't go home. We had no inbound, we had no outbound.
Were sales happening?
Nothing. It was a dud day. They're gonna have to make it up on Saturday. Yep. So it was just one of those things where, like, even those who tried to work, there were people, like, there was a meeting that we held. Third of the attendees were either their company was off, or they had elected to take the day off. Well, we couldn't get a forum going, so then even the meeting we tried to schedule, it had to get postponed because they're like, we didn't have all the decision makers.
Right.
So anyway, so for the movie overall, what are some other things that you want to call out? I gave it a good visual, but low on the standalone.
Well, I did, and I don't know the whole story between. I'm not a Superman expert or Spider-Man expert or Superman for that matter, but like I understood like the different Spider-Mans and women, but where I got kind of confused is like they brought like the original Spider-Man character into it. It's like, okay, well, where did he come from?
Right.
Like, and like you were saying, the T-Rex one is like, what is this? Like,
Is
T-Rex
it
Spider-Man?
just anything with the like at this point? Just is there a Mario Spider? Are we crossing every universe? So,
But
yeah.
I kind of, with the plot line, I understood it. Like they all had their story of the uncle passing away, right?
Right.
Of somebody close to them that the whole premise was to say we all have a story of a death that was caused by us, or so we thought.
Right. Like there was a point where, because I was like your daughter, I was being disruptive to the people who were actually tracking along. I was like, oh, like, this is like a whole, this is like Mufasa and, this is total like Lion King right now. Like, cause I'm like, this is happening. Cause it was like on the version that where they were on the rooftop and then they
But
showed
when
the
does
dad.
it like so?
When the dad had died,
Yeah,
all right, spoiler alert. So dad had died and then the uncle was the killer. I'm like, oh, there it is. That's Scar.
actually, no. Actually, what it was I'm just gonna go there. If you haven't seen the movie and you want to see it,
and you're 10 minutes in,
then stop the watch right now.
Yeah.
So what this was, the whole premise was what they were saying is because the kid that this was based upon, he was not supposed to be bitten by the spider,
correct.
but he was. So what they were showing is like when he's up against that punching bag and his uncle's there, and the uncle throws, because in the first one it shows his uncle being the bad guy, and then he ends up killing him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what it was actually showing at that point, they were saying that you weren't supposed to be bitten by that spider. And then what happened is when he goes back to that time, he sees his uncle, and his uncle throws him the glove. Well, that was the bad glove. And he goes, you were supposed to be the, whatever it was, the night watcher or whatever that was the bad guy. But because he was bitten by the spider in the first one, his uncle became the bad guy.
Got it.
So it was just like this thing was saying it was supposed to show him because they're face to face. It's the same kid.
Right. And the other thing I got out of it was you can't change the past and arrive at the same present,
No.
right? And a lot of what appears to be strength really does come from adversity. So a life of no adversity does not necessarily mean you're best suited. I've seen it even in sports where it's like a team is like 13-0 going into the championship or whatever number that is. I mean, don't try to like do the math. Oh, that wouldn't still be in the semifinals. Okay, whatever. But whereas one that's like 12-1 or one that's like 11-2, they've come back and they've learned how, or like teams that they go, okay, they've come back from being down as many as 9 in the fourth. And some of the better quarterbacks, it doesn't always have to be, football. I'm just saying, like, if you've been able to do comeback wins, then being down.
John Elway was designed for that. He'd always take to the fourth quarter.
If you gave them 2 minutes, you could win the game.
The game was never over.
Correct.
Towards the end.
Whereas a team that's like, this is the first time they've trailed. Okay, well, now what? Well, this is unfamiliar territory. We don't know how to come back. It's like, we win when we're up 35-0. It's like, yeah, anybody can win that. So some teams just have, so having had, and I'm trying not to, but we don't censor here. This whole trying to equalize diversity and everything. It's one thing to say somebody had privilege. I'm just saying that privilege doesn't automatically give you an advantage.
No.
Not automatically. It might in certain things. It might give you better access to certain things, but doesn't guarantee success. So people, you look at situations where like somebody might be come from like poor or immigrant or like whatever, like, you know, underprivileged background. And then that poverty or that lack of resources pushes them to want to like create that opportunity. And then they then sometimes innovate certain things or maybe rehabilitate certain things or whatever. And then they, as a result of that success, they now provide this like lap of luxury to the next generation, which then doesn't understand the adversity that it took to get there. And then they go, oh, these people are just spoiled because they don't know what it took to get that. And guess what? They typically will not become successful. Now, can you inherit success and carry it for a certain period? Absolutely. Does it give you a huge advantage? Yes. But does it guarantee success? No. Therefore, it doesn't need to be corrected.
Because the drive's not there.
Correct. It doesn't need to be corrected. We say, like, well, we now need to artificially do this.
Right.
Where I'm going with that is like, so you have like the CEO of the, you made it past the Spider-Man thing, we're done. We're bridging. So we're not coming back out of that loophole. But like the CEO of United, I believe, said that like, you know, the next round of hiring they're going to focus on diversity for pilots. I'm thinking, why aren't you hiring like the best qualified pilots or the ones that come out of like training and they have like that you should be like, if I'm flying this thing, I want to know that the person that's flying it is just the best pilot, not like some quota.
Right.
It makes me uncomfortable. Not that they're not qualified, but I'm saying you're coming out saying we are going to focus on diversity as a matter of qualification. Because this is like a skilled position and your background shouldn't have anything to do with it.
Yeah, I agree. I mentioned to a colleague of mine, something was brought up in one of my corporate documents, and I was just like, to be honest with you, I'm tired of like, yeah, I'm white. I don't know this privilege that people are talking about. Mm-hmm. I really don't. I had to kick butt. I'm one of those people. I was like, I had to go do it and get forth the opportunity to even have that.
And now, I'll give you that. Maybe things weren't going against you. Maybe you don't know what that struggle is. But that doesn't make you the bad guy.
No. Whereas if somebody else, and I said this to them, I said, if somebody else got the job and this was a diversity situation, but they were more qualified. Great.
Right. No, I'm not. I'm saying that shouldn't be the only qualification.
Now, what that does for Sean or Scoot is helps me drive forward so I can be that person.
Be the better. That's what I'm saying. Go with the best qualification.
Right.
But don't make that characteristic their qualifying.
Because what I feel is happening, and I don't know this for sure. So once again,
just talking. Two dogs talking.
It's the like space shuttle. Well, the lowest bid gets to go build the space shuttle. Are we doing that with these roles now? Like I got the lowest bid to go up there and be on a plane?
I don't know. Well, in this planet, on this universe, you know, where we're at right now is, I think the push to correct certain things might need to be corrected by itself. I think we're going to go off the rails, and then at some point, some future generations are going to come back and go, this is where it went wrong. And maybe the idea behind it was good.
Which I think is right.
Right.
We need awareness of it.
Right. But any special privilege based on profiling and characteristics is wrong. Up or down.
Right.
So to put people down because of their race, creed, whatever is wrong. But to elevate because of it is also wrong too. That's where we're like not getting it. To give someone special privileges because of what was once held against them is also wrong.
I agree.
And I think that's going to have to be corrected when we realize like what it's doing. Because you could actually have a bad approach. You can have bad solutions to a good idea. Mm-hmm. And that's what I think what these diversity things are. It's a bad solution to a good idea. A good idea was basically, hey, let's not have like let's in order to have diversity doesn't mean just go get diversity. It means be open to it. Don't be so closed-minded. Don't be like, well, they don't fit the profile. What is the profile? An old white guy? Because if that's the case, that's wrong. But if you're like, we need to put someone of color in this position, that's also wrong. I don't think anybody even wants that. I don't want to be the token fill in the blank.
Right.
Because everyone's going to be like,
because
well,
it's said, no, and hear me out. Like, if you're qualified for the position, then by all means. But when you start going, I need you over here, you're almost setting them up to fail because, right. I mean, if they don't have the skill set needed to do the job, then...
And I wonder if almost, like, okay, see, you had your... And look, it wasn't good. Like, whether we do that with, like, candidates or we do that with, you know, head coaching positions or whatever. It's like, here you go. If you take a less than qualified person just because of certain characteristics and then give them the spotlight, aren't you just putting the spotlight on them to fail? And when they do, what do you think shows the failure? That thing.
Right.
That special qualification shows...
because then it becomes, on the flip side of that, then it becomes could... in certain circumstances, whether you want to...
It'll close the door for future generations.
It'll lock the door. It will legal actions. There's payouts. There's like all this stuff that...
But if you just let naturally things, if we're all equal, and we say on paper we're equal, there's nothing holding anybody back, and you just let it play itself out, as long as you're not... Like, if you disproportionately disprove of certain things... then that's wrong. But you can't just approve certain things based on those qualifications. Mm-hmm. So if banks weren't giving home loans to certain people of backgrounds because they didn't want them in these neighborhoods.
That's wrong.
That's wrong. But at the same time, you can't just be like, hey, if you're a minority applicant, you're automatically approved. That's also wrong because you're going to set them up for failure. Why don't you say, if you have this income and this much debt, then you can get in, regardless. Yeah. See, just let people that have achieved that get it. And then that's the makeup of that neighborhood. Right. It's people that can afford to buy that, right, regardless. Why are we artificially messing with that throttle? The fact that someone's on the throttle, that's what's wrong, not who you're allowing. Just you shouldn't be looking at that.
Right.
Should be the most qualified candidates. Should be the best pilots.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Well, and that's what I would want.
Yes.
I want the best pilot if I'm getting on a plane that I'm like 39,000 feet in the air.
Right. That it wasn't a quota. I'm not saying whoever is a diversity hire is not qualified. I'm just saying I hope that's not their only qualification.
Right. That's the problem.
That's the thing.
Is it that the only thing?
Because that's all he came out and said.
Right. So what do we know besides that?
Come on over. Doors open. Like
Right.
That's not very comforting.
Well, now if you said you were running programs that were going to get them to be that qualified, I'm even fine with that. Like, get them where they need to go.
Yeah, and again, I keep re-stressing this. I'm not saying just because a diversity person like makes them less than good. No, I'm saying, but that shouldn't be their only qualification.
Because I know a lot of diverse people from me that are brilliant. So,
Well, so like if you say, "Oh, we're gonna have a movie festival, and we're gonna have like all these independent movie makers submit their movies," but then you're like, "Yeah, but like what we need to do is we need to have a special category where it's just, trans women of color, those movie makers." Well, that's artificially looking for one set of group. So then if you have
are you going to have that one group plus the others?
But if you only have 10 slots and you want 3 of them to be those, then you have essentially eliminated some other movie makers because you were specially looking for these ones.
Right. To fit into a box.
Right. And then does this make them any better or not? Because you weren't looking for the best movies. If you said, let's submit hundreds of movies and then we'll take the best ones, the ones with the best reviews, regardless of who the movie maker is, what difference does it make what their preference is or their pronoun? But if you're like coming in here like, well, how do you identify yourself? I have a box for you. Mm-hmm. No, that's wrong. It's
then
just
if
wrong.
you are that person, why do you want to be thrown into that box?
That's what I'm saying. I don't even want to be the token.
I don't even know why they would want to be. They want the opportunity, but the opportunity will come to you.
They want the opportunity for equality, not to be called out.
Right.
So that's a whole topic for a different discussion. As far as Spider-Man's concerned, on this web that we have woven, I would say check it out. Yeah. It's still out in the theaters or whatever. But if you aren't caught up,
don't go.
You may come out lost and upset. Peace out.
Peace out.